Okay, just waiting for this to warm up here. Has everybody got their notebooks yet? No? Okay. Alright, those are the extra ones there. Did everybody get them yet? Alright. Everybody got their books open to page 68? Yes? You can't see? We're going to take it. Miss Jason, could you turn down one of the lights so we can see the whiteboard, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. Can everybody see that okay?
No.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, so if that's the case, then you need to move closer if you can't see. Okay?
I can't.
You can't see
My
either?
head in my way. I can't see the edge. I'm working.
Okay, we'll try to sit up straight a little bit, okay? Can you sit up straight a little bit?
You can see.
Okay, well then move yourselves toward the middle if you can't see, okay? And we'll get started. Okay, when everybody's ready to learn, we'll go ahead and get started, okay? Everybody just gets whatever color they're handed, okay? Hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, is everybody ready to learn now? Okay, what this is it's a Living Things notebook. And actually, Mrs. Sutton helped me make these the other night, okay? And what it is, it's going to be a note-taking journal for the time that we're together this whole week, okay? So, what I have up here is some guidelines of how to take notes, okay? So, let's start. Samuel, you want to go ahead and read the first one for me?
Start a new page for each class. Okay, write down the date and topic that is being learned.
Okay, so for example, today we're going to talk about classification. Okay, so maybe on the first page of your notebooks, you're going to want to write down today's date, which is December 2nd, and you're going to want to write down the topic, which is classification. Okay, so go ahead and open up your notebooks. Because one thing that Miss Jason and I talked about in the time that I've been here, since you guys are going to be moving on to 6th grade next year, that's when you guys are going to start a lot of note-taking. So you guys need to start learning how to note-take. So I figured while we do this unit, we'll practice our note-taking, okay? Yes. What's that? Why, who's the designated pencil sharpener? No, note-taking. Classification. Okay? Yeah, what? What's that?
What else are you missing?
Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to take notes, okay? Now, another aspect of taking notes is taking down keywords and concepts, not sentences. So if I'm up here talking and I say a whole sentence, that might be a little difficult for you guys to write down, okay? So if I sit there and say, hey, for the test you might want to know about vertebrae, then maybe that's something you want to write down, okay? That's just an example, okay? Listen for word clues from the teacher. If I talk about it, it's important, or I wouldn't say it. So in other words, I'm not going to sit here and waste your time. If you need to know it, I'm going to tell you about it, okay? All right. Review notes after class to make sure they're accurate and complete, okay? Hold on. Hold your questions for a second, okay? They should make sense anytime you review your notes. So if you write down notes today and you open up your notebook 3 days later to look at it, you should remember what you wrote and why you wrote it. Okay, so in other words, anytime you open up your notebook to look at your notes, you're gonna go, okay, this is why I wrote this and how I wrote it. Okay, Nick?
What's the table?
We'll get to that in just a second. I'm just using it. I'm just saying as an example. You're gonna want to write down your date and you're gonna write down what we're gonna talk about. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about note taking? Yes, Riley.
What are we supposed to write in our paper again?
I'm gonna get to that in just a second. I'm just showing you how to start it. Okay? All right. Any other questions? No. Okay. No questions on note taking. So we all know how to take good notes. Okay. All right. Good.
Sarah, could you relocate only because you're so tall so you can see the screen better? Thank you. We have a lot of kids after. Well, I don't know. A lot.
Okay. Let's start talking about classification. So if we're on page 68, we're talking about classification. That's going to be our topic for today. So in your notebooks, you want to make sure you write down classification, because that's what we're going to be discussing. Daniel, if you want to sit there, that's fine. You got to sit up so you can see what's going on, okay? Alright, so what are we talking about today, class?
Classification.
Alright, great. So, what do you think classification means? Who wants to give me an idea, without looking in the book, what classification means? Kaya?
Like putting similar things instead of like group.
Putting similar things into groups, okay. Anthony?
Taking
Sarah, you're not listening.
adjectives and putting them together to make an animal or
Okay, that's part of it. Anybody else want to take a shot at it? Nobody else wants to take a shot at it? 2 people, that's it? Okay, we're gonna have to get going then. Okay, that is the definition of classification. The placement of a living or non-living thing into a category. Okay, so Kaya, you were on the money. Anthony, you were also on the money, just in a different way. Okay? So if anybody, you want to take the time to write that down, because later on I might have questions or you might even be tested on that. So you might want to study what that means, okay?
Write that down.
Yes, if you don't know what it means and you need to know it for later, then you should write it down. Okay? Okay, and as we're writing that down, we're going to dive into the textbook and read about classification, okay?
Notebook. There's a book.
Okay, who needs more time to write? Okay, so got a little bit of time. All right, while we're writing, who could tell me what types of things could be classified, living or non-living? Anthony? Video games. Okay, so tell me how can video games be classified? What would they be classified into?
I don't know, like if it's a zombie game or just zombies.
Okay, so like action,
Yeah.
maybe action and adventure, maybe a puzzle game. You know, like puzzle games, like
Resident Evil.
well, Resident Evil is more of an action game too. But puzzle games, like anybody play any games on Facebook with like the puzzles and like Candy Crush or something like that, Candy Crush Saga. That's like a puzzle game. So you can classify video games. What else can be classified? Kaya?
Birds.
Birds. Okay, like types of birds. Give me a couple of types of birds.
Eagles, bats,
Cardinal.
Did you just say cockroaches? Okay, I think you went a little too far on that. That's okay.
Cardinal.
Okay,
Ravens.
great. All right, who else? What else can be classified, living or non-living? Grayson? Dogs. Okay, types of dogs. Kaya again. Boots.
fruits, food.
Oh, foods. I thought you said boots. I'm sorry. So, okay, so types of foods like maybe breakfast, lunch, and dinner, stuff like that. Okay, Riley. Fungi. Okay, that's something we're gonna jump into tomorrow. But that's good.
Fungi. That's nice.
Don't worry, we're gonna get into that later. Okay. Who needs more time to write?
No, right there.
Okay. Don't worry if you don't get it all down, we can get back to it later. Okay. All right, 30 more seconds and we're going to move on, okay? So remember, classification means the placement of a living or non-living thing into a category. Okay? This is really important to know, guys, for everything that we're doing this week. So you need to make sure you know what this means. That's why we're focusing today just on that. Okay? All right. Don't worry, we'll come back. Okay? What types of things could be classified? Okay. And the third question is, how do you think scientists use classification? We're reading about science, right? So, if you're a scientist, how would you use classification?
Bacteria.
Could you explain further about bacteria? How would scientists classify bacteria?
Shield them.
That's all right. Go ahead. What do you think? Say that again. You got to speak up. Okay, Anthony.
They could use classification. They need to find what type of animal something is or a certain animal type, or they could use it to. They could use descriptions from the animals in that group to determine if it's another animal type.
Very good. Okay, so let's think about it for a second. Okay, Nick, go ahead.
Write down the thing.
You can write down whatever you need to write down, whatever we're talking about. If it helps you understand what classification is, then you can write it down. Okay? Remember, guys, with note taking, I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what you need to write, okay? You guys are old enough to know what you do know and what you don't know. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to write it down, okay? All right? So, scientists use classification. How do you think scientists write this book about dogs and eagles, for example? They need to know how to classify their differences, right? In order to explain to you guys, where they live, how they live, what they eat. Do they go south for the winter? Okay, that's what classification is all about, guys. And it's not just with animals. It's with plants, with bacteria, with protists. Say that again? Yeah, chemicals too. Anything can be classified. And that's really what the whole point is, guys, is that anything in the world can be classified. Okay? Everybody done writing that?
No.
Okay, so you guys are still writing the placement of living or non-living things into a category? Okay, this right here, guys, these are just questions I'm asking you. So like I said in the previous slide.
Again, you said write on anything, and we thought we were right there.
Okay, well if you need to write it down, that's fine. If you don't, I'm just saying you don't have to write down every single thing that I put up there. Okay? All right, let's move on. We'll go back, okay? All right. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a second. Who would like to read about classification on page 68? Go ahead. Go ahead, Ayana. Yep.
When you walk into your kitchen at home, you probably know where to find most things. The forks are in the drawer with the spoons and knives. Milk and meat are in the refrigerator. Canned soups and vegetables are on a pantry shelf or in a cupboard. Pots and pans and dishes have their own places too. Read both paragraphs.
Yeah, go ahead and read both paragraphs.
Putting similar items together in the kitchen makes cooking and cleaning up easier. The process of classification or grouping similar things together makes sense in a kitchen. It also makes sense for scientists who study living things. No one can, he said read all.
Okay, go ahead. Stop right there. That's all right. Okay, who'd like to read the third paragraph? Go ahead.
It also makes sense. I read that already.
It's okay. All right. Start at the third paragraph. We're at no one can know.
know everything about 10 million or more different kinds of organisms that may live on Earth. By identifying characteristics that live together to do this, scientists look for similar embodied and the way organisms look, live, eat, move, grow, change, and
Reproduce. Okay. So we kind of already talked about the main idea and details about this. What is classification? How is it useful to scientists? And it was just read there that to do this, scientists look for similarities in the way organisms look, live, eat, move, grow, change, and reproduce. So in other words, how an animal lives their daily lives. Okay? And you can talk about that from a dog to even one of us sitting here in the classroom. Okay? How do we live? How do we eat? How do we sleep? How do we... Yeah, exactly. Okay? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to watch a video about how an orchestra uses classification to make music. Okay? So what I want... Yes, Layla.
Is this video long?
How long do you want it to be?
Is this lesson long? An hour. 10 minutes. An hour.
You want it to be 10 minutes? It's not 10 minutes. Okay?
Is this lesson long?
But listen, I want you guys to watch this video about how an orchestra uses classification to make music. And we'll talk about it after the video is over, okay? Yes.
Is this lesson long?
How long do you want it to be?
An hour. No, 5 minutes.
I can't teach you anything in 5 minutes except how to tie your shoe. Okay, can everybody be quiet, please, so we can listen to this? Thank you.
Move and tie.
Are you drawing there? 'Cause I don't think there's nothing.
Miss Jason, is the sound not on this?
Oh, you gotta
Probably,
turn it
machine over there.
Okay.
The left, no, the left. I'll come. No, no, no. No, 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 no.